Good evening. This is the Legends edition. Tonight, political rhetoric is intensifying across the country as leaders position themselves ahead of the 2027 general election with renewed calls for unity and voter registration among Kenyans. And turning to sports, KBC brings you the World Cup live as Ghana takes on Croatia in a decisive Group L showdown when the clock strikes midnight. You do not want to miss that thrilling match. All that will be coming up later on, but right now, let's inform you of the day's news. But first, a look at the highlights.
MSMEs are not the margins of the economy. They are its mainstream.
President William Ruto pledges support for MSMEs to enable them to thrive. Politicians and government officials from Nyanza region back President William Ruto's re-election bid for continued development. Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen accuses former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and other opposition leaders of fueling divisive politics. A warm welcome to the Legends edition. My name is Marie Yambo. Tonight, our sign language interpreter is Caroline Joroge. Let's kick off the bulletin where President William Ruto has termed the micro, small and medium enterprises as the future of Kenya's economy, saying the success is the growth and transformation of the country. President Ruto hailed the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement Nyota program, stating that it is not a handout but a seedbed for the next generation of manufacturers and industrialists. Kamcha Menza opens our bulletin tonight.
On Saturday, Kenya joined the world in marking the World Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Day celebrations that were held at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. President William Ruto, while gracing the occasion, said the vast majority of the country's micro and small businesses cannot remain excluded from the flow of capital, which is paramount in their growth, innovation and job creation.
Through Nyota, we are building a pipeline of more than 800,000 young people in every ward in this country, equipped with skills, mentorship, and startup capital. These are not handouts. They are seedbed of our next generation of companies, of manufacturers and industrialists. MSMEs are not the margins of the economy. They are its mainstream.
President Ruto urging the private sector to partner with the government in designing more innovative and inclusive solutions to bridge the budget deficit.
I have insisted that participating banks, Equity, KCB, CDN, Cooperative Bank, they should not lend beyond 10%. It must be below 10%. That is my take, that it must be single digit. I know you have been discussing 12%, I don't know, 13%. I have said no. These hustlers cannot pay.
The government has further committed to ensure the implementation of policies to enable MSMEs to thrive and meaningfully contribute to the economy.
Sisi tumeanzisha ile kamati ya kwenda kila region ya nchi hii kuongea na hawa wananchi ili wajue zile opportunities ambazo ziko. Wajue wakianza biashara mambo ya pesa wanapata wapi? Wakianza biashara masoko ziko wapi? Soko la hapa na masoko ile ya nje. Na mambo ya teknolojia yote. Na sisi kama wizara sasa tumekuja na MSME policy 2026.
The question that all of us from private sector, from the MSM ecosystem, government, private sector, development partners, we need to ask yourself, how are we going to support MSMEs to grow, to increase their productivity, so that then they can help us to generate the jobs that will cushion us from facing that very imminent crisis.
Under the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, our task is to connect policy with delivery, financing with inclusion, innovation with jobs.
I'm Nyanza for the Legends edition.
Political leaders and government officials from the Nyanza region have commended area residents for ignoring calls to participate in Thursday's protest, noting it showed a region that is ready for development. The leaders who congregated in Migori for a women's empowerment initiative called upon the locals to back President William Ruto's re-election bid for continued universal development. And as Weekly Vocation now reports, the Lakeside residents were further challenged to enlist as voters in their numbers to accord the region a much-needed voice ahead of next year's polls.
The broad-based government-allied leaders gathered in Migori on Saturday for a women empowerment initiative that was also meant to mobilize grassroots support for the Orange Democratic Movement ahead of next year's general elections. The leaders hailing the locals for giving Thursday's Gen Z commemorative protests a wide berth.
Hapa Migori tumezika katika kaburi ya sahau mambo ya maandamano.
Ni washukuru watu wa Nyanza, watu wa Western, nyinyi wakati maandamano ya porojo inaitwa, mmesema, niliona Kisumu, munasema nyinyi mnapanga foleni mukichukua kura ili mpange serikali ijayo. Muko tayari? Hamko tayari?
Hakuna siku tutarudi kwa barabara tukifanya maandamano.
The locals were told to enlist as voters in their numbers to not only back President William Ruto's re-election bid, but to also accord the Lakeside region a much-needed political power going into next year's polls.
In Nyanza region alone, we have close to 1 million who have identity cards but do not have voters' cards.
The ODM-affiliated leaders reiterated the Orange Party's place in the broad-based government, dismissing the opposition as ineffective and unable to deny President Ruto a second term in the top seat.
We cannot be told to go to opposition in order to come back to government. It does not make sense. So tutakaa hapa ndani ya serikali ya broad-based.
Ni katika hii serikali ya Mheshimiwa Ruto ndio watu wetu wamekumbukwa na miradi za maendeleo. Kweli sio kweli?
Ukiangalia wakati Ruto amechukua uongozi mpaka leo vitu zile zimefanyika sehemu hii, tunasema hatuna budi wengine, lakini lazima tu support William Ruto.
We will not support any formation whatsoever ambaye iko na mtu ambaye inaitwa Rigathi Gachagua.
Reporting for Channel 1, I am Wycliffe Okech.
The remarks by Interior CS Kipchumba.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has accused former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and other opposition leaders of fueling divisive politics. The CS, who spoke during a community empowerment drive at Kimwogo grounds in Elgeyo Marakwet County, sounded a warning to politicians orchestrating violence ahead of next year's election, saying their days are numbered.
The remarks by Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen come in the wake of what he described as failed attempts by opposition leaders to mobilize protests on Thursday, June 25th.
Na usiku hiyo, DCI na police walishika wakora yote, ilipita 300. Waliposhikwa, sasa yeye akaisha nguvu, hakuna kitu alikuwa anaweza. Sasa anakuja mbele hapo, anakuja kusema, mimi niliambia hao watu wanyamaze wasiende siku hii. Yeye, unaona ananiongelelea kila wakati, kwa sababu anajua ninamjua vizuri sana. Mimi nataka kuambia Gachagua, tutaonana macho kwa macho na wewe.
Gachagua akajaribu kujipanga, akadanganyana kwa media, akasema kesho naomba vijana msiende kwa street sijui nini. Lakini huyu Murkomen alikuwa ahead of him, akajua huyu amepangia watu wakuje kwa town, akaweka security ila ijaionekana.
In an empowerment program in Elgeyo Marakwet, Murkomen alleged that the opposition figures, including former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka and their allies, had planned to hijack the June 25th Gen Z protest as a smear campaign against the government.
We are putting a very big con. I'm a con wa Kenya for too long, but I want to tell him, you can con some people some time, but you cannot con all the people all the time.
Anaunda goons yeye mwenyewe, anawapatia waende waibe mabiashara ya watu, alafu anarudi nyuma anakuja kudanganya watu. Juzi wakati aligundua wewe umejipangia hiyo goons yake, akapenduka na akasema msiende, kwa sababu alikuwa anajua hiyo goons yake wangeona moto.
Saa hii yeye ni kulia, anaongea akienda press conference kutoka dakika ya kwanza mpaka dakika ya 20 ni Kipchumba.
The CS is assuring the country of a safe and secure electioneering period ahead of the 2027 polls.
Any person who is involved in matters of recruiting gangs and criminals, we will deal with them perpendicularly. Mnataka hivyo ama mtaki hivyo?
The leaders accompanying the CS, including Elgeyo Marakwet Governor Wesley Rotich, County Assembly Speaker Lawi Kibire, MPs Gideon Kimayo of KU South, and Marian Kitani of Aldai, among others, rallied the North Rift region to back President William Ruto's re-election bid in 2027.
Candidates saa hii ya Kenya yenye wanatafuta kusimamia Kenya ni ya 2032. Ya 2017 hakuna competition. Hiyo ni, lakini lazima tu confirm kwa debe. Si mnajua namna hiyo?
Give us minor Legends Edition.
We now take our first commercial break on the Legends Edition. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
Many workers access their retirement benefits when switching jobs, unaware of the impact it has on their future. Taking out your retirement savings too soon reduces the income you will have when you retire, leaving your future less secure. Have you thought about the lifestyle or income you want to retire with? The earlier you start saving, the better. And the more you save, the more secure your future will be. Increase your savings today and live your golden years the way you've always dreamed. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line 0800-720-300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future. Secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
My name is Jacqueline Naseka. I'm a brand manager in charge of radio, TV and digital services. Kumbukeni wa Kenya, KBC ndio inabeba World Cup. Kwa hivyo World Cup iko wapi? Iko KBC. Na hashtag yetu msisahau. Hii hashtag ni muhimu sana. Ukienda kwa simu yako weka hashtag KBC World Cup iko KBC. Hiyo hashtag itakupatia prizes nyingi sana. Itakusaidia kushinda kama ni t-shirt, kama ni hoodie kama hii yangu, kama ni vuvuzela, kama ni firimbi, na vinginevyo. And as Jacqueline, personally, I'm supporting Really Senegal.
Welcome back to the Legends Edition. We continue with the news, where Kenya Kwanza leaders on Saturday intensified their political outreach in Western Kenya, holding engagements in Lurambi constituency, Kakamega County, and Teso South constituency in Busia County, as they rallied support for President William Ruto ahead of the 2027 general election.
Speaking during a women empowerment program at Ikonyelo grounds in Lurambi, Kakamega County, UDA bigwigs led by President's aide Farouk Kibet urged residents, particularly the youth, to acquire national identity cards and register as voters, saying the ballot will be a decisive tool in the 2027 general elections.
Tusikubali mtu akuja tudanganye kwamba turudi kwa upinzani ambapo ni kwa kelele. Tusikubali mtu atudanganye turudi kwa upinzani ambapo ni mambo ya matusi.
William Samoei anapenda kila mtu. Anapenda kanisa. Anapenda kina mama, wazee kwa vijana. Na kuna mkabila fulani hataki watu wachangie kanisa.
Kwa magharibi tunasema William Ruto tutam. Watu ya Busia mnasemaje? Nione tutam ya William Ruto.
Political leaders from Western Kenya present intensified calls for President William Ruto to nominate National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula as his running mate in the 2027 general elections, arguing that the region's growing political unity and the voting strength justifies the position.
Lakini mheshimiwa Spika, sisi tunakuambia ya kwamba hii kura inakuja. Sisi tunataka mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto atupatie deputy president ule tunaenda 2027 tukimaliza kura. Sasa sisi tunaanza kujipanga mambo ya 2030.
Hapa Kakamega na mkoa wa Magharibi kuuza William Ruto ni kazi rahisi sana kwa sababu ya maendeleo ambayo tunaona hapa.
In Nairobi County, woman MP Esther Passaris differed with the opposition, accusing it of dividing Kenyans along tribal lines.
Me, I want to tell the opposition, they call themselves the United Opposition. I want to tell them that do not take the peace that we have in this country for granted.
Gisho Kiwashira, Legends Editions.
The Kenya Revenue Authority targets to mobilize about 150,000 annual tax returns in Kisumu County. The number includes taxpayers and nil filers. The taxman today conducted a file and pay sensitization campaign in the county as the clock ticks towards the deadline of 30th June. The Jijue Jibeta caravan toured Awasi, Ahero, Nyamasaria, Nyalenda, Mamboleo, Kondele and Kisumu City to sensitize taxpayers on the need to leverage the self-care plan that allows one to file returns on WhatsApp short code at the convenience of their phone. The Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is partnering with the taxman in the campaign.
Ujumbe nilipata jana. Sasa nilikuwa nakuwa na wasiwasi na uoga juu ya hii ujumbe. Pengine nikienda kwa maofisi yao, pengine nitawekwa ndani ama itakuwaje. Kwa hivyo vile nimekuja hapa kuketi kidogo kupumzika, nikaona kama hawa wanatangaza hili jambo na nikaamua niende ili waangalie hii kitu iko na namna gani. Na vile mambo ya kustuka ni ya kwamba nilienda alafu wakanifanyia hii jambo bure wakaactivate, na sasa ninaweza kusema niko na furaha sana kwa sababu wamenifanyia hata bure.
Now, Kiharu lawmaker Ndindi Nyoro has dismissed claims that he has been sponsored to criticize the government, asserting that after leaving the government, he has independently expressed his political opinions. At a press briefing in Nairobi, Nyoro regretted missing to vote on the Finance Bill 2026, urging Kenyans to give him time to reflect on the situation in the country before announcing his political direction.
I talked to so many other friends. You have seen me alone. So there is no way I can be working for these other ones, maybe to do harm to these other ones, and I'm not anywhere. And precisely the reason I'm saying that mimi nitapeana maoni kwa Kenya is because, as you all know, I've been handling my issues alone, singularly. It is clear, I mean it's obvious, that I left government. It's obvious. But I keep answering this question, not more because Kenya has asked me, but because politicians provoke me to keep on defending it. Nataka nitumie fursa hii ya kwanza kutoa msamaha kwa Kenya kwa disappointment ambayo nilisababisha wakati tulikuwa tunapiga kura ya finance bill pale bungeni last week.
Now, women in the country have been encouraged to familiarize themselves with the legal frameworks that affect their rights to own and inherit land during a training forum organized by Capacity Enhancement for Women Land Change Agents. It was noted that women's capacity to support their families through farming practices can be enhanced by the access to land. The program brought together women from various rural communities to enhance their understanding of laws governing property rights and ownership in Kenya.
According to the 2022 Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, only 3% of Kenyan women own land alone. This is despite women being the backbone of Kenya's agricultural sector, accounting for an estimated 75 to 80% of small-scale agricultural labor. It is for this reason that Women Empowerment for Resilient Rural Areas Organization, also known as We4R, conducted a training in Nakuru for women from various rural communities to enhance their understanding of laws governing property rights and ownership in Kenya. Limited knowledge of legal provisions has left many women vulnerable to land dispossession, particularly during divorce, separation, or after the death of a spouse.
Some women in rural areas, they lack what we call capacity building and skills. And if we educate them on such matters of marriage and inheritance laws, at least they can have that point of we are going also to do it in our villages. They are also going to educate others in those villages where they come from, in the counties where they come from.
At the training held under the Capacity Enhancement for Women Land Change Agents program, legal awareness was stressed to enable women make informed decisions regarding family property and land ownership.
The big issue that is making women being vulnerable in the community is the lack of awareness on the issues of succession, the inferiority complex about women. If they want to do succession, they get it difficult because they don't know how to start it, and the succession process is very tiresome, and it takes a lot of time and it needs money.
The importance of land as a resource for women in agroecology was also highlighted, as secure land often determines whether women farmers can invest in long-term sustainable farming practices and thereby enable them to better provide for their families.
In this program, we have been training on land rights and also why documentation. Why should a woman have her own land? Why should a woman have a joint title? What are the marriage acts? What are the issues on the ground that will enable the woman, if she has a marriage certificate, she's recognized in her farm or in her marriage, she's also able to use the land to do agroecological practices.
Caroline Kamau reporting for Legends Edition.
Wakenya, ni wakati mwingine wa kuhakikisha kuwa umefile KRA returns. Je, uko rada una challenge yoyote? Usiwe na shaka. KRA wakishirikiana na KBC Channel 1 wanakuja hapo ulipo kusaidia kufile returns na kulipia ushuru wako. Jiunge na msafara wa KRA Roadshow, uwe fiti mambo ya returns. Tarehe 28 mwezi Juni, msafara wa KRA utatua katika kaunti ya Homa Bay. Tutaanzia katika Homa Bay Town, tuingie Kendu Bay, Oyugis Town, Rangwe Market, Mbita Point, Rusinga Island and Market, Mdhiwa Market, Rodri Kopani Stage, Kosele Market, kisha tumalizie Suba Town. Tarehe 30 Juni iko mlangoni. Usingoje hadi dakika za mwisho. File KRA returns mapema. Ishi bila stress. Jijue, jibeta. KRA, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee.
Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the news and we look at matters nutrition, where 70% of health complications can be avoided through adherence to good nutrition. Kenya Nutrition and Dietetics Institute Chief Executive Officer Dr. David Okeyo says poor clinical nutrition could also be fatal to patients, hence the need for health facilities to prioritize the different facets of nutrition in resource allocation.
On Saturday, the Kenya Nutrition and Dietetics Institute, KNDI, held its second National Scientific Symposium to deliberate on nutrition, its critical role in health. KNDI Chief Executive Officer David Okeyo says only a third of the admissions in hospital are not related to poor nutrition.
I've always said that 70% of conditions in the health facilities have their roots in nutrition. But then also we have seen cases of patients who are dying because of poor intervention when it comes to diet interventions and nutrition diagnosis. Now, we are saying that we don't have exactly the number of cases which we can mention now, but I can tell you there are quite a number of complaints that we have had about cases dying because they lacked one or two intervention that was supposed to be a regimen for their recovery, but was not done in the health facilities. Why? Because the nutrition service delivery has actually not been embraced in details the way we want it to be done in the health facility.
Fatalities have also been occasioned by poor nutrition.
The regulator, of course, working together with the Ministry of Health, has all the tools required for appropriate measures for negligence, particularly when it comes to service delivery. But I think also the most important is not only negligence, but it is more of a governance matter that needs to be addressed from the management of such facilities, because a professional will only be effective if they are given resources.
The symposium was held under the theme Advancing Excellence in Nutrition Care and Standardizing Practice through Updated Protocols.
Our priorities include developing and strengthening evidence-based national clinical nutrition standards and guidelines, supporting implementation of standardized nutrition care across all levels of healthcare, strengthening quality assurance system for nutrition services, building capacity of our nutrition workforce, integrating nutrition into digital health and health information system.
The protocols call for entrenching the different facets of nutrition in healthcare.
That protocol can be used in terms of even estimating the cost that is reimbursable from SHA. So I can say that we are doing something. As a ministry, we already have a final draft of a clinical nutrition manual, which is just at the process of going for leadership approval. Once that is approved, then we can be able to go back to the panel with approved guidance, so that then our consideration, the one that we had given, can be considered.
Timothy Kipnosu for Legends Edition.
Now, for decades, a prison has been defined as a facility for those found guilty of breaking the law. Yet, within the walls of Kenya's women's prisons is a vulnerable and innocent group of hundreds of children whose sole crime is being born there. However, various humanitarian organizations are now partnering with the government to restore dignity to these children, provide essential care, and create much-needed child-friendly spaces. And one such initiative is the Mothers and Babies Behind Bars by the Eco Network Africa Foundation, which seeks to improve the welfare of incarcerated mothers and their children. Here is the story of struggle and hope by John Kahiro.
For years, children born or raised behind prison walls have remained the silent victims of circumstances beyond their control. In Kenya, approximately 400 children are living with their incarcerated mothers. No playgrounds, no neighborhood walks, just long-guarded walls and some hope that perhaps one day the physical barriers will not define their future.
Our cells have not been the best of spaces, and to be honest, there's no reason why a baby 0 to 4 years should be incarcerated. They have done no crime, they have not offended anyone.
But inside Murang'a Women's Prison, that hope is beginning to take a different turn, courtesy of the official unveiling of the Mothers and Babies Behind the Bars initiative.
Before, what was happening is that they would be together with all the rest of the inmates in the cells, which is quite a challenge because then, a mother is a mother. You want to be with your child.
The program by the ECHO Network Africa Foundation, in collaboration with the State Department for Correctional Services, seeks to provide direct maternal dignity interventions.
These innocent children are not offenders. Yet, circumstances place them within correctional environments that during their formative years. As a service, we have a moral, legal, and humanitarian obligation to ensure that their developmental, nutritional, health, educational, and psychosocial needs are adequately met.
To the children by providing little things like this, which are actually donated to us by our partners. These are blankets, small blankets that otherwise women in prison would not access, to also provide them with basic things like diapers, provide them basic things like aremis, mafuta, and such like little things that really make life comfortable.
The program has further received a major boost with the unveiling of a new accommodation facility at Murang'a Prison in Murang'a County, equipped with modern beds and child-friendly sleeping spaces for both mothers and their children, in an effort aimed at creating a safer and more dignified environment for those beginning life behind bars.
Mchango huu unaonyesha kuwa jamii inaendelea kuamini kuwa kila mmoja wenu ana uwezo wa kubadilika, kurekebisha maisha yake na kuwa mwanajamii mwema mwenye mchango chanya. Dada zangu na ndugu zangu, kuwa gerezani sio mwisho wa maisha yenu, wala hakufuti utu na dhamani yenu kama binadamu.
For the first time today, mothers in this correctional facility will spend their time nights with their babies because they have beds, they have bedding, they have mosquito nets, and they can comfortably have a good night's sleep.
For the children, such acts of compassion, partnership, and dignity-centered care will give them a fairer start in life, and to their mothers, some hope that this is not the end of life, but the beginning of a new chapter.
And to also encourage themselves so that in their day-to-day, they may remember who they really are, that they are valuable, that they are one of a kind, that they are unique, that they are strong, and that they are very special.
John Kahiro for Legends Edition.
Thank you, John Kahiro, for that inspiring story. We now shift focus to news from the counties, where the Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization leadership in Kisumu County has scheduled a special delegates meeting on the 2nd of July to iron out differences among its members in the Lakeside County that are threatening to tear apart the Women Empowerment Organization. This and more in our County News Roundup.
The organization's Kisumu chapter chairperson Karen Olo says among the issues to be addressed during the meeting are the controversy surrounding the processing and acquisition of the Kisumu town land title.
The allegations that were raised are serious. They concern maendeleo ya wanawake land, they concern governance, they concern finances, they concern leadership, and worst of it all, personal integrity.
In Laikipia County, over 700 residents have benefited from the government's Human and Wildlife Conflict Compensation Program since 2023, with the compensation totaling to 243.3 million shillings.
106 beneficiaries have already submitted their bank accounts and will be issued checks today. So saleo isile tunapeana ni 24.9 million, while the rest will be paid once they have submitted their bank details.
In Isiolo County, a total of 22 community conservancies from the 4 pastoral counties have benefited from the scale of carbon credits, sharing amongst themselves more than 655 million shillings that were earned in the year 2025.
Na tumefurahi sana. Haswa sisi kama wamama, nitaongelea kuhusu konservansi yangu ya Nasulu. Sisi kama wamama tumesaidika sana. Katika konservansi yetu ya Nasulu, pesa ya mwaka wa kwanza sisi tulijenga na tourism banda ambaye saa hii inafanya kazi na pia tuko na campsite.
Elsewhere, the National Construction Authority has raised alarm of a growing trend of developers illegally adding extra floors to buildings in Mombasa without regulatory approval, warning that the practice poses a serious threat to public safety amid the county's construction boom.
What we have noted is many of the constructions in Mombasa, they are getting the approvals. But the approvals they are getting are for a certain number of levels. But then there is extensions, extra floors that are going on. The sites that we have walked around with you, many of them have the approvals from the county and NCA for a certain level. But when you go to the actual site, you find the floors are above.
Meanwhile, hundreds of women took to the streets of Karuri town in Kiambu County to protest the continued sale of illicit alcohol, which they allege has claimed the lives of 7 people in the last 2 weeks.
Tuko hapa kwa sababu ya hii pombe haramu ambayo imeagamiza watoto wetu. Kila siku, kila wiki tuna mazishi ya vijana wachanga. Tunaongea na governor tuone vile watu watainvolviwa kazi mtaani.
And in Meru County, teachers living with disabilities have launched their association, the Meru Teachers Disability Association, to champion their rights, promote inclusivity, and address the challenges they face in the teaching profession.
Tukiangaliwa kama walimu wa disability, we shall be more productive. Na tungependa serikali tutambue na ijue si kupenda kwetu kuwa hivyo, lakini tunaweza. Yale wenye wale wako wana disability wanaweza, we are even making it better than them.
Finally, a section of leaders in Narok County have called for multi-sector collaboration in the fight against drug abuse and trafficking, warning that the battle cannot be won by security agencies alone. The leaders are calling for collective action from families, schools, religious institutions, and the wider public to shield young people from the growing threat of substance abuse.
Hii shida si ya mtu mmoja. Hii shida si ya serikali peke yake, si ya wananchi peke yake, si ya partners peke yake ama stakeholders. Lakini tunafaa sote tuungane pamoja tupigane na hii shida ya illicit drugs and substance abuse na hasa pia issues ya trafficking.
And the counties put a cap on the local news, but we still have much more on the Legends edition. Daniel Ohome will bring you up to speed with all matters sports after this short break.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Legends Edition Sport. Now, Kenya's Junior Baseball 5 team has advanced to the final of the East African Regional Baseball 5 Championship in Kampala, Uganda, keeping alive their hopes of reclaiming the regional title. The Kenyan youngsters booked their place in the final after receiving a walkover against South Sudan before defeating Tanzania by 2-0 in the semi-finals and winning their matches 10 innings to 1 and 11 innings to 0. The dominant victory extended Kenya's unbeaten run in the tournament. Kenya will now face host Uganda in the final after they edged Tanzania by 2-1 in the other semi-final. The clash offers Kenya the perfect opportunity to avenge last year's defeat to Uganda and reclaim the East African Baseball 5 crown.
We lost, lakini ilikuwa fun na ndo lengo la baseball. We are here to play, we are here to compete, but we are here to have fun. So hiyo ndio kitu ambayo inatakiwa iwepo.
Game naye imechezwa poa, but haikuwa poa sana, ila tumeperform vizuri. Naona kesho saa tunaenda finali, ila we will give our best the way we can.
Sisi kuna timu yenye tunaogopa kwa saa hii. We are ready for it. Tuna promise tutawin.
We lost to Uganda in the finals after beating them twice in the preliminary. We beat them in the preliminary this time, and we are meeting them again in the finals. So it's going to be an interesting game, but we are up for it.
And Nairobi will hold some of the world's brightest junior tennis prospects as the World Tennis Tour Juniors Tournament gets underway this weekend, with more than 30 Kenyan players set to compete alongside rising stars from 25 countries in a 3-week international competition. The tournament, which starts tomorrow and ends on the 18th of July, will feature players from countries including China, India, South Africa, the United States, Great Britain, Australia, Spain, Germany, and Canada, among others. Competitors will battle for valuable International Tennis Federation junior ranking points across 2 J30 tournaments in the opening 2 weeks before the event concludes with a high-level J60 tournament in the final week. A total of 30 Kenyan players have been entered for the event, led by Zayan Virani, Jeff Okuku, and Mark Moraga in the boys' draw, alongside Stacey Yego, Felicia Ouko, and Paula Ouko in the girls' category. And defending women's champions Kenya Pipeline and former champions Kenya Prisons have booked their places in the Kenya Volleyball Federation National League semi-finals after completing a 2 sets to nil quarter-final playoff sweep in Mombasa. Pipeline is past Nairobi Prisons 25-20, 25-15, 25-14 in Game 2 at the Aga Khan Academy to seal the series, while Kenya Prisons also advanced with the dominant 25-12, 25-15, 25-11 victory over Kenya Army. In the men's competition, Kenya Defence Forces secured a semi-final berth after staging a remarkable comeback from 2 sets down to beat Equity by 3 sets to 2 and complete a 2-0 series sweep. Juja-based Chema also reached the men's semi-finals for the first time after defeating Trailblazers by 3 sets to 1 in Game 2 to wrap up another 2-0 series victory. Meanwhile, KCB took an early advantage in their quarter-final series after beating KDF in straight sets to win Game 1 of their best-of-3 contest.
The setter, or is it...
And Kenya's Joshua Wasike produced a sensational performance to claim the vacant International Commonwealth Cruiserweight title, stopping his opponent with a third-round technical knockout during the Nightmare in Nairobi 5 boxing event at the Mass House Arena on Gong Road. In the co-main event, Kenya's lightweight prospect Nicholas Mwangi marked a successful promotional debut under the color code banner, defeating Tanzania's Hussein Pendeza by a unanimous decision after an impressive technical display. The judges scored the contest 78-74, 77-76 and 77-66 in Mwangi's favor. In other fights, heavyweight Rogers Otieno registered a dominant third-round technical knockout over his Tanzanian opponent. Veteran Gabriel Ochieng secured a stoppage victory, while Jared Omondi completed a memorable night for the host with a unanimous decision win against Jose Mwangi.
taken by Ndiaye. Edge of the box. Oh, yes. As clean as a whistle second time. It's a double for Papagay.
Arguably a cleaner strike than the first one.
It's a good talking point either way for our Sporty TV analysts and indeed the viewers. But impact substitution, probably of the tournament. Papagay for Senegal.
We mentioned in the first half, it's an easy game. Just keep the ball, keep it simple.
Dial star 977 hash or download my Power app to access Kenya Power services fast and easy. Kenya Power, nuru ya Kenya.
And welcome back to Legends Edition Sport. Now, the national judo team member Felix Yambo Okoko has intensified preparations for the upcoming Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, with the 23-year-old targeting a podium finish in the men's under 66 kilogram category as Kenya looks to make an impact at the multi-sport event. The Kenya Prisons officer is currently sharpening his skills ahead of the Games, confident that months of training will enable him to compete with the world's best and raise Kenya's profile in the sport. Okoko has established himself as one of the country's top judokas and will be seeking to convert his impressive domestic performances into international success. Okoko grew up as a street child in Ongata Rongai before discovering judo at the Kajiado North Judo Club at the age of 8.
Nafurahi sana juu pia huko mtaani pia nikiingia saa zingine mtandao wengine wananiambia tunataka tufanye tukue kama wewe. Juu pia nawapatia pia saiko kwa nyumbani. Juu pale nilitoka block, unajua nilikuwa block, sasa nimetoka block.
And football fans were treated to a thrilling FIFA World Cup experience as KBC Channel 1 hosted the Bao FIFA watch party at Kaloleni, Nairobi County, bringing together supporters to watch the Group I clash between Senegal and Iraq. Sean Muir has the story.
Up in large numbers to cheer on their favorite teams as Senegal cruised to a commanding 5-0 victory over Iraq to book their place in the round of 32. The supporters praised the initiative, saying the watch party had created a lively atmosphere that united football lovers while calling for such events to be held throughout the tournament.
Sisi kama mashabiki tunasema tournament imekuwa fiti, tunaenjoy, tunawakaribisha tena Bao FIFA bana. Mmeka mkutu support, tunasikia smart sana.
Na support Portugal juu Cristiano Ronaldo ni best player wangu na nataka kama inawezekana win World Cup ndio aretire na World Cup.
The Bao FIFA watch party provided an opportunity for the broadcaster to engage directly with Kenyans by bringing the World Cup experience closer to the fans.
Kenya is a place to love and enjoy, and football unites everyone. So watch parties are here. Tutoke nje tuangalie football. Tujibambe wa Kenya. Hizi screens tumwawekea ni zenu. KBC ni yenu. Mjivunie kuwa watazamaji wa KBC.
Viewers were also encouraged to continue following all the FIFA World Cup action live on KBC Channel 1.
Indeed, it has been a splendid watch party with football fans turning up to support their favorite team. Sean Muya for KBC Channel 1.
And defending champion Samson Lemayan retained his Lewa Safari Marathon crown as the Kenya Wildlife Service officer Lydia Simiyu claimed a memorable debut victory in the women's race at the 26th edition of the event held today in Isiolo County. Lemayan, a ranger at Samburu National Reserve, successfully defended his men's 42-kilometer title of clocking 2 hours 27 minutes and 4 seconds. Victor Meno finished second in 2 hours 28 minutes 8 seconds, while Nehemiah Kimaru finished in third place in 2 hours 32 minutes 38 seconds. In the women's race, Kenya Wildlife Service officer Lydia Simiyu made a winning marathon debut, crossing the line in 2 hours 50 minutes and 39 seconds. Lydia Nyanza finished second in 2 hours 56 minutes and 41 seconds, while Gladys Otero completed the podium in third place.
Kosi ilikuwa mlima na maponde, ilikuwa ngumu, lakini tulingangana. Tunashukuru. Next time maybe tuta-improve time. Juu maybe tutakuwa tumejua course penye iko.
Tofauti ya last year na huu mwaka nilikuwa nimejiandaa vizuri kuliko last year. Na ndio maana nilishinda bila kustruggle. Unlike last year nilikuwa na struggle kumaliza.
World Cup iko KBC, and our focus has been on African teams. And Africa is making history at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Debutants Cape Verde have sensationally reached the knockout stage after holding Saudi Arabia to a goalless draw. As a record, 7 African nations booked their places in the round of 32. Let's get this story.
A total of 10 African teams took part in this year's FIFA World Cup, with Morocco, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, Cape Verde, Senegal, Egypt and Ghana all securing places in the round of 32. Senegal booked their place with a commanding 5-0 victory over Iraq before Iran's 1-1 draw with Egypt mathematically confirmed the Lions of Teranga as one of the tournament's 8 best third-placed teams. Cape Verde also